Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Writers Chat. And this is the place where writers get together and we talk about all things writers, by writers, and for writers. And we're excited. We got quite a few, one of our highest amounts sitting there in the chat room. And if you're watching this by replay, we're really glad you did. We're excited to be together today. My name's Jean Wise. I'm one of the co-hosts, and I am joined here today with Johnny Alexander. Wait, Johnny, you're looking at and Bethany Jett. And we're going to quickly turn it over to Bethany Jett to introduce our special guests today because they got a topic, and knowing those two, we're going to learn a lot. So we're going to let them run the show today, and we're looking forward to hearing everything that you guys are going to get. I always get psyched and excited and inspired with you two. So welcome, Bethany. Let's carry it off.
I'm very excited that we're recording because Michelle and I seem to talk really fast when we get excited, and we love teaching on this. Okay, so I'm excited to introduce all of you to my best friend in the whole wide world, Michelle Medlock Adams. And she's incredible. Can I just brag for a second? She's got over 90 books published. And just yesterday found out that she won 4 of the Illumination Awards. So 4 of her books got medals, which is crazy. Like one of them, I think the bronze medal was beat by Lisa Turkhurst and Billy Graham's daughter. We're the only 2 above her. And I'm like,
not to lose. That's a great couple to lose.
Wow. Crazy. So she's super talented. And when I first met her 5 years ago, I guess, at a conference, she was teaching on freelance. And I remember Eva Marie Everson called her on stage and just basically said, if you want to learn how to make money in this business, Michelle is the person to learn from. So I went to her class and been learning and just soaking in all of her knowledge. So it's truly a pleasure to have her here today. And I will stop there because I could go on for the hour. But let's dive into this topic and talk about like how you can really make money freelancing between books, because advances don't give you career money for the year typically. So
ain't that the truth?
So welcome, Michelle.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I love hanging out with you guys. It's like my peeps, right? Our tribe. We all speak the same language. We're all crazy and quirky, but we get each other. So this is like my favorite thing to do. So I'm really glad to be here. I'm so glad you have this. This is amazing. And I'm glad I could get to be here and actually talk about something that I get excited about is freelancing, because honestly, when I went full-time freelance in the year 2000, I promised Jeff I could make $500 a month. He's like, if you can just make the car payment, then you can be full-time freelance. Well, that didn't seem like that much because I had like 3 clients that would way overpay that. And then, so a lot of you know my story. What happened is literally the first 6 weeks of being full-time freelancer, I'm like, yay, this is great. I can work in my jammies, getting so much done. I lost all 3 clients. So life will throw you a curve once in a while, and you just have to be determined to know, look, I know this isn't always easy and we have to pay our dues sometimes, but I'm in it to win it. I love it. And I know if God called me, he'll equip me. So I'm just going to keep doing the things I know to do. And so the thing is everything that I'll be teaching today has been tried and it's been tested, because out of necessity, I had to learn. I couldn't go back to work with my tail between my legs. I was going to figure out how to make $500 if it was, and I had to do it legally. So I had to figure that out because I wasn't going back to the 9 to 5, or it wasn't happening. And so I honestly only substitute taught like about 4 times as I figured this out. And one time was enough at middle school. And I'm like, okay, I can do this freelance thing. It'll be easier than facing the middle school students every day. Yeah. And I did. And so I began just to build my business slowly but surely. And one of the things that I did is I followed John Riddle, who is a kind of a mentor friend of mine. I met at the Delaware Christian Writers Conference years ago. And I remember when I met him, and he said, I met him actually at Write to Publish, and then he invited me to Delaware, is how that worked, to his conference. But he said, Michelle, you need to split your time 50-50, 50% marketing, 50% writing. And I thought he was on drugs. I'm like, what? I am a writer. I am not a marketer. I mean, I will do the marketing if they make me, but like I am a writer. And he said, if you want to continue to be a writer, you're going to have to be a marketer. Yeah. And I was pretty young in the career, and I wasn't sure he knew what he was talking about, but he was quite successful. And everybody that I talked to who knew him said, oh yeah, like he's amazing. So then I thought, okay, well, maybe I should listen to this guy. So I actually just said, hey, can I have some of your time? And don't be afraid to ask. I mean, some of you, we've spent time on the phone, but I just sat down with him. We were actually at a conference, and I just picked his brain for like an hour and 45 minutes. I mean, that was so gracious of him to give that to me. and I learned from him one-on-one. And basically the 50% thing, 50% marketing, 50% writing has turned out to be true. The year I didn't do that, when I was on deadline for 2-year devotions due the same month, like the same week actually, a couple days apart, I didn't shower much that entire summer. But during that summer, I kept saying no to all the contacts I already had in the freelance world. And so what happened is I finished those 2 books and I was like, yay, I made my deadline, did the Dance of Joy, ate some chocolate, celebrated with Jeff and the girls. And then the next day I get up and my plate was empty. I have never had an empty plate since, not once. And the reason is because that completely freaked me out. Would it freak you guys out? I was like, oh my gosh, oh no, how do I have anything to do? Because I'd said no to all those editors and all those editorial contacts I had during that summer. Every time they'd, like, Lifeway would message me for home, like, hey, can you do an article? I'd be like, check back with me in October. I'm on this crazy 2-book deadline, but I would love it. There are a million Michelle Medlock Adams waiting in line to take that next position. So you can't be like, oh, well, they'll come back to me, because they might not, because we're special, but to God, but not always to the editors, because they just need somebody to fill that void. So, you know, it's great to be confident, but also understand you're quite replaceable. So you always want to go above and beyond for your editors and for your clients, but you also need to continue to look for that next gig, that next client, that next magazine article, that next journal contact. Because if you don't, when you finish these other ones, you're so excited, there'll be nothing else on your plate. So don't be afraid of having tons of things on your plate. Like, I don't just have 4 burners like on my stove. I have like 12. And so I have and you have to be organized, which is so ridiculous for me to tell you this if you saw my shelves right now. I'm also doing the tidying up thing, Bethany. And so I'm in the middle of redoing my office shelves. But you have to be organized in your writing, knowing that, like, I have a big calendar where I will check things off, or I have a happy planner that Bethany taught me to get a couple of years ago that I love. And I will have on the side notes, these are the things that are hottest, like hot, hotter, and hottest. And then, like, on fire, do it today or die. I have like a list of things, and then things just rotate on my stove of Freelance. But I like to have like that, like a lot on there. Some people don't do as well with that many. Like, I have a friend named Wendy Lanier out in Texas, and if she has more than a couple things on her plate, like, she will be in the fetal position rocking in the corner. Like, that is not her thing. And so you have to know yourself as a freelancer, but I like to have a lot. That makes, I can go to bed feeling really good knowing I have all this stuff to do. And then also that helps if you're kind of like me where you get bored easily. I have the attention span of a fruit fly some days. If I don't want to just work on this particular, like, really heavy hitting business article, and it's not due till next week, I'll push it to the back burner and bring something fun up, like a fun little picture book that's due. I'll just switch them around depending on my mood. Y'all have moods, right? So that way I can just change them out. So it's also good to have things to choose from, like fun projects and business projects and, you know, whatever you're interested in kind of projects. And then some that just pay really well, but maybe you don't care anything about that type of project. It's good to have all those kinds of things. So I think that the 50-50 thing was a game changer for me, because even though I'm writing, I'm always an assignment, I'm taking time to still send out, I still send out query letters. I still go to the job boards I always teach about when I teach this freelance class. I'm teaching it again in Florida, at the Florida Christian Writers Conference in a couple months. I always still go to the job boards that I talk about. If you guys want that handout that I use that have like all the job boards I visit, I'll be happy to provide it. Can you guys make that available somehow?
Yeah. You can put it in the Facebook group.
Yeah, we can.
I'll be happy to do that. But I go to those job boards and I have a pitch letter written so that whenever I visit those job boards, I have something to say. It's not just like, hi, hire me. I actually have something that's kind of like, you know, when you write a query letter, whether it's to a magazine or to a book publisher, and the bottom paragraph is the all about you paragraph, like your awards, how many years you've been freelancing, or your specialties, anything like that. So a pitch letter is pretty much like that bottom paragraph of your query letter expanded into one big letter. And that letter is just pretty much all about you. This is not the time to be modest, you know, repent later. But this is the time to like brag on yourself, tell everything you've done and why you'll be an asset to that client, to that publication. You know, it's not just like, look at me, I've got all these awards. It's like, hey, I've won these awards in this particular genre, which is what I see your magazine's about. And I know how to do a great interview. I believe I can connect with the people that you want to profile. And then like have some online links to, if you're doing an online kind of a thing, I like to have some online credits, some online articles that I can just put the links right in my pitch letters. They can just click on there and see examples of my work. So it's always good to have some online clips for that reason. They call those clips if they're like the printed kind, but I call those online clips. I'll just go click on the online clip, and so make sure that is working, like that you're still that's still a valid link. That would be really embarrassing to put a link in it didn't work anymore. But make sure that it still works. And then, you know, so you can say, if you want to see some of the things I write, you can visit my website. I've got samples there. Or here are some online articles I've written in this particular genre. It's best to kind of, I guess I would say, fit your pitch letter or direct it towards whatever market you're trying to get into. So if let's say I go to Upwork, which we're going to talk about next. Let's say I go to Upwork and there's somebody looking for somebody to write 10 fitness articles for their fitness branding website. Well, I'm a fitness instructor and I've always maintained my certification since I was in college. And I've ghostwritten some fitness books and I have one of my own. So I kind of know the lingo there. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull from my fitness pitch letter. I've already written it. I'll update it from time to time if I win an award or if I get some new clips. But I'll pull that one out because I've already got that written, and I'll use that pitch letter because that's specifically directed towards the fitness industry. I'm going to use fitness terms and things. I would not use that same pitch letter if I'm trying to get a business, gig writing 10 or 12 blogs for a businessman. I have a business pitch letter for that. So you develop different. This will save you some time when you do those job boards, or you'll spend a million hours doing a pitch letter for each one. But I will develop one that will highlight the different areas I like to write in. And you can be very strategic about this, guys. It's not just about making money, though all the making money is a great thing, and I am all for it. But you can also be building your platform while you do this. So, you know, it's all you hear today is platform, platform, platform. If you want to get a contract, you have to have platform. And that's not just social media platform willy-nilly. I mean, it's great to have numbers. A lot of people buy theirs, and so that, you know, doesn't mean as much. But it's all about engagement with those people and stuff. And so you want to kind of build a platform in the area where you want to be published, right? So while you're making money, one thing I've been doing and been a little more strategic about in the last 10 to 12 years is I've been trying to build my platform in various areas. So like Bethany, I have a mom book coming out this, I guess it's late summer, early fall, with Prequel called They Call Me Mom. So we've been very conscious of reaching out to moms, doing things for moms, you know, getting gigs with mops and writing blogs and doing posts that pertain to moms, those kinds of things, which is great for me because it also kind of collides with my children's writing, because who buys children's books? Moms. So it's great. So those two things kind of go together for me, so I can kind of tag team those. But so as you're building your freelance career and you are making money along the way, earning while you learn, you can also be building platform in the area where you want to be published or where you are published, so that those people that you're connecting with will be your book buyers. That can all go in your proposal. So it's kind of a win-win-win. It's a triple threat. You're making money, you're building your platform, but you're also strategically building your platform in the area where you're either being published now or hope to be published. So it's a built-in audience of buyers for you. So that has worked really well.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify. So when you're saying, because when we hear marketing, so often it's just like, oh my gosh, social media, social media, social media. But when you say 50% marketing, you're talking about pursuing. You're not actually just talking about like putting stuff on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. You're talking about that's your 50% time is also spent developing those pitch letters, those query letters, looking for the job, sending them out.
That's exactly right.
Stuff.
And you know what? That's a great thing. I should probably change that in my handouts. But that's what he called it. It's really, it's not the marketing like I'm pushing, although I'm still going to do that. I'm still going to take only 50%. But I'm still going to push my books and that kind of stuff because our publishers want us to do that. But you're right. This is more like the 50% pursuing new work is what it is. You're right.
Okay. Yep. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
I like the idea that you're using the word strategy. You know, strategy implies more than just one query letter. It's being very intentional about developing these future readers and buyers of it. Yeah. So the word strategy is perfect for that.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Bethany is really our strategy fox. I always buy her anything that's cute that's got a fox on it. Strategy. She's a foxy mama and she's a strategy fox. But the one thing about strategy, like let's take Vicki for example. Is Vicki here? Victoria here?
Yes.
So she's got these amazing home decor books coming out with Abingdon. So 2 right in a row, like a Christmas one, and her first one is the one that comes out in like 11 weeks. And then I'm counting. I already pre-ordered. Yay me! So anyway, I'm so excited for that. So something that she would do, because if you follow her on social media, all of her social media is kind of like real pretty and home decor like, and like, you know, it's like you've walked into an HGTV set kind of thing. That was very smart. One thing you can do those things aren't going to pay unless you get some advertisers or something. But one thing you can do, like this is what I would do if I were her, and I'm totally not bossing you, but I'm just like, this is a good example. But like in the back of this is the new Writer's Market Guide, the 2019. I got this for Christmas for myself, from me to me. Those are the best gifts. right? Because I know what I want. And in the back, there is a section, trade journals. So it's a little bit different than consumer magazines. It's called trade journals. The consumer magazines are the one that those are the magazines that you're probably most familiar with, like the ones that you probably get in your home still if you take magazines. They're both online and they're print ones. But trade journals are specific to a particular interest or a trade. So these, like, obviously trade journals. So if, let's say there are lots of home decor ones, it's for people who maybe are in the home decor business. Well, those people are also going to be buyers for Victoria's book. They're going to want those books because they're going to want to either sell them, which we're hoping, yes, please order my book to sell in your store. Or there's somebody who's somehow associated, maybe they're an interior designer and they can be inspired by her book. They're also going to want it. So you can be building your platform for your future buyers of the books you're writing, and you're building your own freelance niche. I teach a class called Find Your Freelance Niche. So you're building your freelance niche while you're making money, because these trade journals they pay so much. They pay so much more than like the Home Lives, which I love to write for Home Life in some of those. I still do, but they don't pay as much as like trade journals. And trade journals, because hardly anybody queries them unless they've taken my classes. It's like you're not going to wake up one day and say, I can't wait to write for pizza today. Like, that's actually a magazine. But if you're writing a book about, maybe you're a foodie and you're doing a book about 100 days, 100 different pizzas, then I want to write for pizza today, because that's going to be money I'm earning while I'm building up this whole new platform in that genre. Do you see how there's strategy there? So if you go in the back, I hope you all have like at least this one, or the 2018 Writer's Market Guide. If you go back there, start looking, I'm not kidding, there are just so many. There's like the hotel, motel, club, resorts, restaurants sections. There's florists, nurseries, landscapers, government, public service, finance. Then there's regional. So you can do, like, for instance, Vicki could do some stuff for an Indianapolis Monthly. That's not going to overlap anything she might be doing in her home state, because you usually don't take Indianapolis Monthly unless you're a resident of Indiana or you have been a resident of Indiana. So that's another strategy I always say is, like, mine your gold mine. If you're writing something for a regional magazine that's just going to be published there, they're not going to have a crossover market with another regional magazine that might also like the exact same article. So I will sometimes be able to sell the same article twice because they don't care. It's not like they're fine with simultaneous even publications, not just submissions, but publications, because their readership doesn't cross over. That's also often true with the different denominational magazines. If you're taking the Pentecostal Evangel, which is the Assemblies of God magazine, you're probably not taking Light and Life, which is Free Methodist. Probably not. So you can kind of hit the same sort of topics, and even the same article with just a few two tweaks and sell it both places. They can run the same month, though they usually don't run the same month. But I'm just saying, you want to mine your gold mine and get as much bang for your buck as you can. Back to trade journals. There's farm, there's entertainment and the arts, there's also writing, energy and utilities, engineering and technology, electronics communication, education and counseling, construction and contracting, clothing, yay, church administration and ministry, building interiors, thank you very much, Victoria. There's kitchen and bath designs. And I wrote for kitchen and bath designs for about 3 years. Shelly was my contact there. She's no longer there. I would put you in touch. She's freelance now. But I found them in the back here when I was living in Texas. I started writing for elegant designs and then kitchen and bath design. These are both trade journals. And the great thing about trade journals as opposed to consumer magazines is you get regular work and they pay more. Mm-hmm. It's not like a lot of people querying them. And it even says a lot in here, like, we don't take a lot of queries. We come up with the article ideas and then we hire people. They're just looking for people to put in their freelance pool of writers that I often talk about. They want to find warm bodies who know what they're doing, who can write specifically for their market and know their audience. This is a very narrow market for them. It's a niche kind of a thing. But if you can talk their lingo, they don't care. They're excited to have you. They're not going to want to lose you. So you can actually have monthly work from them just because there's not a lot of people querying them. This is what happened. I was working for a pool and spas magazine. And I didn't even have a swimming pool at the time. We wanted to get one, and I'd always wanted one, but I was a city pool girl. We didn't grow up having that. So when we moved to Texas, Jeff and I would go out and we would do that silly foam, and we would spray the outline of our future pool. I'm so embarrassed I'm telling you this, but we did this, and we were like praying over it, and like, someday we're gonna have a pool here, and we couldn't wait, and we did. We had the most lovely pool eventually. But I wanted to research about pools and the kind of pool we should get. whether we got chlorine or salt water. So I thought, okay, well, I should get paid for all this research. So I wanted to earn while I learn, which is something Bethany often said. I decided, somebody should just pay me for all this research I'm doing about the pool I want to put in. And I started taking Pool and Spa magazine. I looked at Pool and Spa magazine and went, oh, I can totally write for them. So I contacted them, found them in the back of the trade journals, wrote them my nice little pitch letter, and told them exactly what I was doing. Look, I'm really interested in pools. I am also a professional freelance writer. You guys have all been sworn in the club, I take it. I'm a professional freelance writer, and I would love to be in your freelance pool of writers whenever you're assigning articles. And I put things in there like all of my years of experience as a newspaper reporter and working for magazines. I use lingo like I can hit a deadline. I know how to do great interviews, because what I found out is most of these particular kind of magazines and like the home decor, pool and spas, that sort of stuff, they were really wanting me to profile companies and some of their main advertisers, right? They got to cozy up to those people paying the bills. Yeah. So they would oftentimes say, I want you to talk about saltwater pool system and interview this guy. And I would notice he had like a 12-page ad. Funny how that worked. But I would call him and interview him. We got all kinds of free stuff too. It was great. But anyway, I would ask him stuff, like I'd ask them all the questions that they wanted answered. So I'd ask my editor, what exactly is the goal of this article? And many times they'd send you a paragraph full of these are things we want to answer. It was almost like you couldn't mess it up. I didn't have to come up with the idea. I just had to make the phone call, be charming, and write a great article. Y'all can do that. So this is just a really nice way to make some money, learn about stuff that you want to learn about, and build a platform in the area where you want to build a platform. I've talked nonstop. Are there questions? I haven't even looked at the little Zoom chat. Are people asking?
Well, we try to watch that for you.
Okay, good.
Rhonda did ask that she doesn't have a spectacular resume that would attract publishers. So what does she need to do? That's probably true for not just Rhonda, but several people in the chat.
That is a great question. That's something that I'm often asking. They're like, well, yeah, Michelle, you can take that bottom part of your career letter and blow it up to 17 letters. But I'm like, okay, but I didn't start there. So let's talk about that. A great way to build up your credentials as a writer. First of all, enter every contest that you can find that's legitimate, like the Illumination Awards, like the SELAs, like whatever. Oh, the Series Writer Awards. All those. When you go to these different conferences at Right to Publish, you should enter those. You should enter those contests. That it's important because that starts to earn you some credibility when you can say you're award winning and you can list some of those. The other thing is, if you need to get some quick clips, I also teach a class about getting quick clips. Say that 5 times fast. It's not easy. But to get quick clips, to get some proof that you're a good writer, some samples, I started off doing things that didn't pay. You're like, hi, this is how to make money, Michelle. That doesn't fit in, but it does. If you were trying to build your freelance portfolio so that you can go for the bigger fish, you got to start with the smaller fish. You got to start with the guppies. So what I would do is I would write articles that would either pay like in copies of the magazine or pay in subscriptions or not pay at all. Just be like, hey, thanks for playing. Like I didn't pay, but it gave me some great articles that I could put as my clips. Most of these places will say, send us your writer's CV. So if you don't have one, you got to make one of those. I have a sample if you want me to also submit that. But it'll say submit your writer's CV, which is just basically your writer's resume, and some samples of your writing, or they might say some clips. So if you don't have a writer's CV and some samples of your writing, you're already in the hole. You can't apply for that job on any of the job boards or even when you do your pitch letter. So in order to get some more clips, write for some magazines that don't pay. Because let me tell you this, nobody who is a full-time freelancer who's been at this very long is submitting anything to them. They've already paid their dues there, and they're not going around that track anymore. So your competition to work for them is like kind of very small, because a lot of people aren't wanting to write for them. They want to make some money. Another place besides writing for the freebies, which they're all in this writer's market guide as well. It'll tell you if they pay with, there'll be $sign, or if they pay in copies or whatever. Look for the ones that pay in copies or don't pay at all. You'll be able to get some quick clips. Another way is, of course, your blogs will be good. I'm sure most of you have blogs, and you guest blog for people. That's a way to build up some writing samples. But there's a thing called Upwork. Has anybody used Upwork? I don't know.
I'm familiar with it.
Okay, so this is kind of, I always get something new every year that I get excited about. This is my new thing to get excited about this year. I used Upwork to hire somebody last year to help me with my Twitter, because I needed to grow it more. That I was kind of stuck at like 10,000, and now I think I'm at like 14, and he's continuing to work with me. But So I went on there and typed in, looking for somebody to help me grow some social media numbers because, hi, I'm on 4 book deadlines. So the publishers want me to grow my social media, but they'd also want me to hit my deadline. I can't hit my deadline and grow my social media and actually be able to be a grandma because I'm a new grandma again. So I'm like, So I hired him, but that's how I discovered Upwork. I told Bethany about it. I'm like, have you tried Upwork? It's like amazing because you can go in and specifically ask for what you're looking for, and then all these different freelancers pop up. Well, then I started looking, I'm like, what in the world? Why am I not on Upwork? Like, hire me. Are you kidding me right now? So, and I haven't gone live with I built my portfolio, but it's not live because if anybody hired me to do anything right now, I couldn't even take them to lunch. Like, I am maxed out till like probably late July. But that's going to be a great place for me to get in between those royalty checks that Bethany talked about in the opening. That would be a great place to get some work and build some credibility. So I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and this girl was talking about, I think she calls herself the nomad internet chick or something. But basically she travels around. She's traveled all over the world, and she supports her travel fetish by writing magazine articles and online stuff. She's kind of neat. And so one of the things she said she did, which was, she mentioned Upwork. I'm like, I love Upwork. So I started listening even more, intently. And she talked about when you first start with Upwork as somebody who's a freelancer, they will tell how many hours you've been booked to work. So you might start with 0 hours, so people might not think you're credible yet. So you might have to take on a few assignments on Upwork that pay like not very much, $5 an hour or something crazy. But as you begin to get recommended, just like on time I do anything, like when I'm speaking someplace for a women's conference or something, I will, if they book me through that womenspeakers.com, Marnie Swedberg's thing. I hope I said her name right. But womenspeakers.com. Anytime I will go and speak someplace, somebody book me through there, I'll ask them, would you mind to leave me a review? And the reason and it's been great because they've all left 5 stars. So when someone goes to look for a conference speaker or a women's day or a women's event thing, planner will go, women's planners go there all the time, event planners, and they'll look through there. My name pops up with 5 stars. And then they can go and see how many conferences I've done, how long I've been doing this. They can read what other conference directors said about me. It gives me credibility, even if they don't know me from anybody. So it's great to have that credibility. It's the same way on Upwork. You get recommended by former clients. So if you do a really great job for this businessman and wrote like 10 blogs for him and he gives you kudos, thumbs up and 5 stars and like says good things about you, the next time I'm searching for somebody to do some business articles for one of my websites, I'll be like, oh, well, this guy got glowing recommendation and he works for $7 an hour. I can afford that. So you can price yourself as high as you want to or as low as you want to based on sort of your experience. So that would be a great way for Rhonda or any of us to get some experience, either first-time experience or experience in a particular genre that maybe you don't have an experience in yet. So if I want to, maybe I want to start writing for, I don't know, let's say I want to start getting into writing for business websites. And I haven't done that since I lived in Texas, which has been like a while ago. And I want to get back into that. Well, I would go ahead and put that in my portfolio, my little portfolio on Uplink that you can look at. I would definitely say that. But what I would say was, I wrote for the Dallas Morning News and the 4-Star Telegram and their business sections, and I would list some of those pieces and that kind of thing. But my goal is to get more articles or more work in the business realm. So I'm going to put that seeking articles, seeking to do work for entrepreneurs, to write articles for their websites, to write their brochures if they still use those, for their client letters. I'm looking to work with entrepreneurs. And so that keyword, then I'll use about 3 different keywords, will bring me up when that entrepreneur is going through there and going, hey, I need somebody to turn around like 17 articles on how to manage people or something. Well, the reason I might want to do that, he may only pay me $10 an hour, which isn't a lot, but it's going to be, a nice little vacay money for later. But I'm earning credibility in that particular niche that I didn't have before. So I'm still earning while I learn. And this gal, one of the things she said was she actually wanted to be a virtual assistant for a while, so for a particular industry, so she could learn that industry, because she got to see how this lady who was already successful ran her business. It's something that Gary Vee also preaches, which is somebody that is, he's very quite successful at everything. The guy that has a foul mouth that Bethany likes, but he's a really great teacher. So
all his books are right here.
Right? I mean, she's got a whole shelf. I think I got 3 of the books because she told me to, although I haven't read them yet, but they're on my shelf, so maybe. So I think it's really important that, you be strategic in everything that you do, building and earning while learning. that is a great place for you to, it's called Upwork, UPWORK, and you can go and just, you can either hire somebody or you can be hired. And don't be afraid we all start, small and get bigger. So you might have to start for not as much money, but then you can build and build and build. And I was listening to one podcast, I don't remember which one it was the other day when I was getting ready, and someone asked, how much can I charge? And the answer was, as much as you can until they stop paying you. Like, in other words, you can charge until somebody goes, what? Until it goes tilt. So as you get experience, don't be afraid to charge a lot, because you can always come down in price. You can never go up. So it's better to start big and negotiate down than to start down and you can't negotiate up. You're never going to go up. And so that's, as you get more credit, more awards behind your belt, you've got so many thousands of articles, that kind of thing, then you can charge more. But I started right where you are starting, if some of you don't have very many credentials, but you probably have more credentials than you think you do. You're just not very good at bragging on yourself. So, have a friend, somebody who likes you, have a Bethany in your life who you can sit down and go, hey, how am I amazing? Like, because I don't know that I am. And then that person could go, well, you do this, 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 and this. And I guarantee you they'll remember some things you didn't even remember. You're like, oh yeah, I did do that. That was kind of awesome. Yeah. So those things can go in your pitch letter about yourself, but sometimes it's hard for us to remember those good things about ourselves. We always remember the bad stuff, but not the good stuff. So it might be that you have to have somebody who loves you to help you remember those things. But put all of that in there. Are there other questions about that?
Well, there's questions about presenting. I think it was
Okay.
in that up further in the chat. I've lost it right now. Asked if you consider developing presentations part of your marketing time. And you mentioned the women's speakers thing. And I don't know if we could find that web thing, Bethany, find that, put a link to that.
Yeah, women's speakers.
In that, on that. And so we need a Bethany in our life to tell us we're amazing too, right?
Yeah, see, that should just be a kind of, no matter what you're doing, you need a Bethany. You can't have my Bethany, but you can have sharing her. But you can have somebody, but you do need somebody like a critique partner or somebody that can help you remember. Well, I remember you won that award and you taught at this place, because sometimes we just don't remember those things. And another thing is always be continually updating your pitch letters and your LinkedIn profile. Kind of do it all at once. So as you win another award, like I will go in there tonight probably and update my LinkedIn. I'll probably do that because I won some more awards. Always be updating your bio and your LinkedIn and that kind of stuff. I don't really have anybody who's helped me with my website right now because Ashley's on maternity leave. Ashley Jones, cutest little baby Gordon ever. He is so cute. But I'll need her to update that for me as soon as she comes back on staff, because I'm not real techie. Some of you guys are. I'm not really that techie, but I can do LinkedIn and I can do Facebook and I can do Twitter and I can do Instagram. Just don't know how to work my website yet because it's really complicated. I haven't gotten switched over to an easier one yet, but always be updating. So as soon as you win an award or you have something else published, don't be afraid to announce it. Like, especially if it's a business thing, put it on LinkedIn. And I've gotten work, most of Platlet's work in the beginning, and even now some of it comes from LinkedIn. People seeing us, our last client, Sherry, she saw a post on LinkedIn, contacted me through Messenger on LinkedIn, and said she's looking to do a book on an eating disorder. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my daughter struggled with that for years. I've written about it. I've talked about it. This would be a heart project for me. Let's get on a Zoom call. So now we're doing her book. But that came through LinkedIn. Our biggest client from Texas came from LinkedIn. So I think LinkedIn is something that is very much underplayed in the industry. It's kind of become like the business Facebook. And like I always say, you're still going to get that, you very pretty woman, I hope to meet you someday. You can't stop that. There's always going to be those crazy people out there. So just, that makes some people go, well, I'm never going to be on there. I was so offended. Oh, heck, if I don't get a couple of those a week, I feel like I'm losing it. You can't be offended by that. Just delete it and go on. But I get a lot of work from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good thing. So we love LinkedIn. It's one of our favorite, it's the best kept secret, I think, in industry. People don't use it. But if you're always constantly kind of tweaking your profile and your update and adding some pictures, and you can do something like you do on the Facebook newsfeed. You can do a newsfeed thing. So I just announced the other day that my What is America book's coming out. And I had a couple people say, hey, that's great. And I'm going to buy it. These are people that aren't in my other social network groups. So I reach a whole different group of people there. And especially if your book has got something to do with a particular industry, like home decor or whatever, you're going to want to join some of those groups. There are groups you can join for each industry. And even if it's just anything you're interested in, I will join a group. And I'm kind of like a troll. I don't always comment. I really don't. I just kind of, it's one of the things I do at night. I'll just kind of read through comments and stuff. I learn some stuff sometimes. I'm like, that's not right. But I don't want to go in and go, that's stupid. That's not true. I'll just sometimes go in and go, that's interesting. I never heard that. I might go in and then offer something I know to be true. And then I'll get like all these email messages. Well, not email, because I don't give my email till I know if I can trust him. But LinkedIn messages saying, hey, I loved your comment on that. Can we talk more about that? I'm looking to hire somebody to do such and such for my business. Again, we bring them right into Plant Lit. So by joining some groups and kind of trolling them and looking to see, if you can add something really intelligent to the conversation, people notice that because there's a lot of idiots out there. So if you add something really like helpful and you're not like just going on there to promote yourself, it's like, I hate that too. And there's a conversation and somebody goes, well, I have this book that you should buy right now that talks all about that. I mean, if you can sneak it in and not be like really weird about it, that's okay. But just to offer something for free, it's what Bethany always teaches about, your social media is not all about, look at me. It's also about, let me give you a free recipe. Let me give you a free download. You're giving, and then people want to buy your stuff. And it's the same way on LinkedIn. You always want to kind of be giving some good information, and just you're kind of whetting their appetite, and then they're going to want to hire you to do their stuff.
One rule that I like to do for LinkedIn, and I do want to say this with Plant Lit, we don't advertise at all. So like, there's no Twitter. We've switched our Instagram, so like, there's no promotion here. So all the work that comes through LinkedIn is just based on what they're finding keywords in bios or CV. So that's why we're like, I just want to say that because it's so important to have your writer stuff in there, because that's how they're finding Michelle.
It's true. And also follow people. So I don't know how many people at like 9,000 or something, but when let's say somebody wants to be your friend on there or connect to you, it's kind of like, whatever. And some people are like, well, I don't know them. Well, I don't care. Unless it's like, it looks like they're the Unabomber. I always just say yes. I mean, I kind of look up some stuff, but I'll look to see, and I'll be like, okay, wow, that person's also connected to this person. Well, I definitely, so then I'll go friend that person, and it kind of expands your network to people that you really would like to know. So the next time you announce you've got a book coming out or you've got an article published, then you're connected to that editor at Zondervan who you're hoping to sell something to. It was kind of cool. They saw that you're succeeding. Do you see how that's kind of strategic? So you're reaching a group of people that can actually make a difference in your career.
When you're posting on LinkedIn too as a status, I always try to give like a call to action or a link, because people they go there for information kind of. So like any kind of resource you can get, like Michelle was saying, is always like a kind of a good rule of thumb.
That's a really great tip, because it is a business thing. It's good to always kind of provide something like that. Or also if you reshare somebody's thing, I mean, like we do that a lot on Facebook, but I do this on LinkedIn, and those people will like send me, thank you so much. It's like I just bought their, lifetime supply of books. So they're like, thank you so much for sharing that. Like I'm like, okay, well, yeah. And so then I notice they're sharing all my stuff. It's also that kind of, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That also works in the business world. So I've had people ask for referrals, and I've referred them. And, another thing, as we're talking about credibility, Sarah Gorman, who is one of my former Taylor students, whom I love dearly, and is very talented, she asked if I would recommend her on LinkedIn. And, I don't have a lot of time. Actually, I don't have any time right now. But I was like, for her, I can stay up an extra 20 minutes. I will do that. So I did. And I've forgotten what that felt like. When you're first starting off, it means something to have somebody who's considered established in industry recommend you, because they may not know Sarah, that she graduates, I think, next month from Taylor. So she's getting started off, although for somebody who's just graduating, has so much credibility. I mean, more so than probably most people. But, it means something to have somebody who has been further down the road than you to recommend you, because they may not know you, but they might know that person. That also helps you on LinkedIn to get some of those recommendations. So don't be afraid to ask for that. Just don't ask me till like July. I can help you in early July, but I might be able to help you before then, probably early April. But, just so you guys, not anybody else. But it's good to recommend each other, because that helps too. So get those endorsements on LinkedIn. People look at those. I look at those when somebody's asking me to do something. I'll go to see where they've worked and who's endorsed them and what they've said. It just helps me know. It's kind of like I always look at the Yelp ratings of places I'm going to go. Don't you do that? Or if Amazon reviews, like it's kind of like that. It's kind of like your Amazon review on LinkedIn. Reviews count, so don't be afraid to ask for them. And this women's speaker thing, I fell into that about maybe 5 years ago, and I remember telling Bethany about it. And then for a while, I just did the free version, where it's completely free to build put your picture on there, some speaking topics, have some recommendations, that kind of thing. your bio, your statement of faith, because it's usually Christian women's directors or event planners who go there. Although I've gotten some secular gigs from that as well, like more inspirational for like civic events. But then a couple of years ago, I guess it's been almost 3 years ago now, I decided I wanted to do the paid version just to see what it was like. So I bought the, I just did the yearly thing because I never know if it comes out every month or something. I'm afraid I'll be overdrawn because I don't know which account it's coming from. Are you guys like that? I'm so bad about that. So I'm like, I better just pay for it all up front. Yes. So I just did the year thing, and I think I actually got that for Christmas that year. It was one of the things I asked for. And my speaking, she can attribute to this, it tripled. Like, it was crazy. Wow. All of a sudden, it brings you up to like the top of the search engine. I didn't realize this. And so then like this month, I got this little star thing on my Facebook page from Marnie saying, "You're the most booked speaker this month. Congratulations, all-star speaker." I was like, for real? I mean, I was like, yay me. I didn't even know that was a thing. So that was pretty cool. But I tell you, I never got that. And I worked it pretty hard before till I did the paid membership for womenspeakers.com. The biggest, busiest months are usually people are booking in October and then again in the spring. But you should go ahead and build your bio and stuff. See, a lot of this stuff overlaps. The stuff you're doing for LinkedIn and for womenspeakers.com and for your pitch letters, a lot of that can all be, meshed together. It's not like you have to do all these different things. A lot of those things, you're not doing the work twice. You're just kind of tweaking it for whichever venue you're trying to put out there. Does that make sense? So I don't want you to think, you've given me like 12 things to do, Michelle. I have a life. These all kind of correspond, I promise.
Michelle, do you have LinkedIn Premium? Someone asked in the chat.
You know what? I don't. I haven't needed it yet. And I've been itching to get it. Like about 5 different times they'll say, have a free couple months on this. And I'll think, do I do it? But what happens is if you do that, then like after those 2 months are over, then they start charging you. And again, I don't know which account that's coming out of and if I've got money in there. So I never say yes yet. But I thought about it, but we just haven't needed it as of yet. I mean, if we ever get low on getting contacts, then I will do that. But the only time it really has been a problem is sometimes you want to message one of these big heavy hitters, one of the people that's got like a zillion contacts, like somebody like Mark Cuban. And unless you're a premium member, you can't message him because you have to, unless he's in your network already, you can't message him. But here's what I always try first. I always try friending friends of that person I'm trying to get to. It sounds like I'm a stalker, but I guess I kind of am. I mean, don't tell anybody I said this, I'll deny it, but I will kind of like friend all of their friends that might not be as big a deal. And then once I'm in their network, then I'll go and I'll like try to friend him. And he's like, oh, it's John's friend. Yeah. And so then I get it. John doesn't really know me. He just said yes. But that's how I get in. And then I can message the person I really want to message. And that's kind of how I got into the Gaylord situation. I did 6 weeks of book signings of my new book, C's for Christmas. That was the one that won the gold medal, the C's for Christmas book at the Gaylord, the Nashville one. It's so beautiful, Gaylord Opryland. 6 weekends in a row, I got to go there and stay there on their dime and read my book, C's for Christmas, and then sign it and sell it there in both of their shops. And that all came from LinkedIn. So, I mean, really, LinkedIn works. You just gotta be.
So, let's say Gaylord, they were having their ice show. So they were having everybody coming. All these people were coming to visit, not to stay at the Gaylord necessarily, but to visit the exhibit. And there's Michelle selling her book to parents who are waiting in line with children who are cranky.
It was like the ideal setup. Like I'm right there by like the Build-A-Bear, the Cinnabon, Santa, the ice skating rink. I'm like, even if you didn't like me, you'd come stand there because there's so much going on. Like there's, so I was like a captive audience. And that came from, I friended the events director for the Gaylord and like all the different cities because they've got like 6 different ones. And then I found the one that was in Nashville, which is only like a 4-hour drive for me. So I could just drive there. I did it before in Texas, like years and years ago. So I thought, let me just see. And then it turns out she was a Hoosier. So we had that Hoosier connection. So I mentioned like, hey, you're a Hoosier, I'm a Hoosier, blah, blah, blah. Kind of a little personal thing. I was like, hey, if you get a minute, I'd like to talk to you about maybe. And I just pitched her what I wanted to do. And I mean, she wrote back immediately and set up a call and the rest is history. And I think I'm doing it again this year. So LinkedIn can be your best friend for getting work and for building brands and for selling whatever you already have out. So that's also a great way to kind of expand your freelance and your social media imprint as well. I love LinkedIn. It's one of my favorite venues to do stuff on.
And it's not the one we think about. I mean, we're always thinking about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these things. And yet I've skimmed through the chat and different people are saying they're having really good luck with LinkedIn. So it probably is that well-kept secret and you heard it here.
Amen. I mean, LinkedIn is great. It is great. I think trade journals are one of those best kept secrets. Most people don't ever reach out to the trade journals and job boards. I mean, there's a lot of different job boards. I'll tell you one thing. I don't do the job boards that I have to bid on, like eBay. Like I don't want to do like, you know, I'm going to bid against somebody in India who can work for a penny a word. Like I'm never doing that. I'm never doing that. So I just don't do that anymore. But there are enough of them where like journalismjobs.com and some of those where you can go on and you can just type in like freelance or remote work, kind of search those keywords and look to see who's looking for what. And I can pretty much scroll through them quickly and I can see, oh, somebody's looking for 6 articles on how to be a mom in today's world or something. I'm like, oh, I can do that. And I'll just send them my parenting pitch letter. I've got all these different pitch letters that are and I'll just tweak it a little bit to fit whatever it is they're looking for. But I don't have to recreate it again because I've got the bare bones of it. And I don't put the same awards in each thing, and I don't put the same experience in each thing. But that's why I have different pitch letters. So when I go to those job boards, it's a quick in and out for me. I always tease when that's what I do when I'm watching, like I'm binge watching something, because sometimes Jeff will make me binge watch programs I don't like, but I want to be with him and I like him. So I'll sit there and I just can't watch another episode of this, but I want to be with him and he's like so into it. So I'll just get my computer and like, I'll just start applying to jobs on job boards. Like I've gotten jobs I can't even do. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got hired for that. I was watching Seinfeld. I don't even know what happened. Like but because I've got these different pitch letters for different industries, and it becomes really a fun thing. And then what happens a lot of times is you'll get a gig with somebody and they like you so much that you don't have to look for work much more because they will hire you forever. A while ago when I was really between royalty checks, this was right when we moved back to Indiana, I had this guy for like 5 years. I finally had to tell him I couldn't do anymore. But I found him on journalismjobs.com or might have been sunoasis.com. It was one of those two. His name was Daniel. He was from France and he had all these travel websites. And so I would write all these articles, like I'm talking, these are one source stories. I've never been to any place that I wrote about, literally not one time. I would go to like travelocity.com or expedia.com and I would read what other travelers had said. Sometimes I would email those travelers, or I would just go to like, you know, this Venice, the city, I would go to Venice and look what their website says. There's lots of stuff written about Venice. I've never been to Venice. I'd like to go sometime, but I would just go and look and just kind of rework things, put those in my words and talk about, you know, have a cute little sidebar about travel tips for traveling Europe and that kind of thing. I mean, I didn't do any of that. I've never been to Europe, never traveled to Europe, and I'm the worst packer in the world. I mean, you can tell me. Yeah. But I can write, I can do people. I just can't do it myself. So he loved me, and so he hired me I would do 10 articles a week for his travel sites. And then he started developing these jewelry sites. Jewelry's my favorite thing. So I'm like, I'm your person. So then I would write about what gemstones are in for spring and that kind of thing. Like, it was great. And he would pay like $50 a story. Well, you can do the math. Yeah. 10 stories, 50. I mean, and they were so easy to do. So now that didn't build any kind of platform or anything. That was just good money. And we needed it. And we were buying prom dresses and cars and everything at the time when the girls were. And so that was just extra money that I didn't have to ask Jeff about. That was just like, I could get a real expensive prom dress for Abby and Allie and never have to tell anybody what I spent. Because I had this extra money that I wasn't paying. It wasn't allotted for other bills and things. So that's another great way just to make some extra money while you're doing the heart projects maybe God's called you to write that aren't paying yet. Like if you've got this heart project, a devotional or something that you haven't quite found the publisher yet for, but you know God called you to write it, but it's not paying the bills. That's the kind of thing, that's the kind of gig you can do that can kind of pay your bills while you're working on that heart project.
We had couple questions in the chat, and we're getting shorter on time. So let's deal with this question, and then we'll draw everybody back in. And people are loving all your ideas and energy. You know that. People love that. Two people asked very similar questions. One was in insurance and one was in banking. So all their network is that niche, but now they're expanding into something totally different. Is there a couple tips for them to expand that network?
That's those are great questions, because they always say write what you know, which is that was always the thing they told us in journalism school, which is really not great advice. It's great advice for maybe getting started, but we talked about earning while learning. And so you can go ahead, you've already got all these contacts in business and finance or whatever, insurance. That's great. So use those to get some recommendations and some credentials and some articles under your belt if you need some clips. And you can look in these trade journals. There's a whole finance section. I'm sure there's an insurance one too. And that's great. So those are easy. Those are no-brainers. You know you can write for those magazines. But if you're trying to expand kind of your areas of expertise, go ahead and do those just to keep yourself in the freelance loop and making some money and building clips and continuing to get good credentials and things. But pick the industry then, or the niche you want to write in. So let's say that you've been doing insurance or finance, but you really are wanting to get into, I don't know, what did they say what they wanted to write about?
No, they didn't. Neither of them did.
Okay.
We're saying mainly how they got new networks under LinkedIn.
Oh, under LinkedIn. I thought you were talking about trade journals. Okay, yeah, LinkedIn too. It works the same way. So if you're on LinkedIn and your profile is all just under insurance, someone asked me, well, Beth and I taught on this at Florida last year or the year before. We combined our class on LinkedIn. Someone said, do I need to get 2 profiles? So that is interesting. I've never done that. I know some people who have done that. I had a little bit of that identity crisis myself because I also teach fitness. So anytime I would just post something on fitness, I would get all these people like Beachbody people and all these people messaging me. And though it worked okay for me because I write in the industry as well, I changed it at one point so that didn't come up first in the search engine because I was getting all these fitness people like, do you want to come guest teach at our club? No, I do not. No, not ever. No. Oh, no. No, I don't. No, I don't. I just see this like I'm getting paid to stay fit. Like I'm not there anymore. That's not my main industry. So I had to change my little bio at the top. Like you can look to see what comes up whenever people search you. I didn't want the fitness thing to come up first. I didn't want, that is something I still do, but I downplayed that and I upplayed my other stuff. Now when my fitness book came out, Love and Care for the One Only You, that's all about healthy living and fitness, I changed it up a little bit because you can change this off as you want to, because I wanted people in that market to find that book and find me. And I was going to the ABA, it was the American Business Association of Fitness. And it was a big conference down in Orlando that year. So I was trying to make contacts with people before I got there because I was going to be doing a book signing. So you can change that for different seasons, but as you're transitioning over, you definitely want people to find you for your writing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I've never had 2 different profiles. Bethany, have you researched that at all? I don't know.
I remember that question. Like I told them, like, unless your company that you work for is like telling you can't have anything else on there, then I don't necessarily think that you should do profiles because we're like so well rounded. And I did the same thing. Like when I was a VA for someone, I had a lot of like elder care stuff that was at the top, but then I'm a big fan of the slow fade in lots of areas of my life. And so I just like slow faded those people out and then also moved it down. I started putting other things on top of it. So it was still there, but it wasn't exactly what you said. Like I started making the writing stuff. That's what I wanted the contacts on LinkedIn to see, but I kept it there.
I think that's smart. I was reading some of the comments. Somebody said that they write like contemporary and fantasy and like romances and stuff. They're like, so how does any of this work for me? I taught a whole class last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, I'm learning at Florida Christian Writers Conference about how fiction writers can promote their books without just talking about, hey, I have a new fiction book. You can take themes from your books. So for something like that, let's say that you've got a romance, even Marie Slay's romance about the ornament, what's it called? The ornament keeper, ornament.
Yeah.
It's right there on my shelf. I can't read it from here because I have my glasses on. But anyway, that one, like that's about the small town, the Southern thing. You could pick some kind of Southern funny theme. Like that main character is sassy. I like her. She comes from bigger city, comes back to her mama, that kind of thing. Like you could pick themes from whatever your current book is. And maybe you kind of always had the same things in your books. Like maybe your books have some sassy, fun Southern stuff in every book because you're kind of a Southern fiction person. Well, then start writing for some of the Southern magazines. Maybe pitch yourself in like as a columnist for Southern newspapers, and like have a sassy mama's look at life. Like you could do something really fun, right? That's something you could do. If there's some really really hard hitting issues like domestic violence or human trafficking or something. Those are sometimes in books like that, maybe not like happy, sweet romances, but in some of the other fiction, you can pull those kinds of topics, and then actually write articles about those, nonfiction articles about those that still point back to your book. So it's a great way to talk about something important that's also newsworthy and in the news, but then point them back to your book. And that's a great way to also earn while you learn and start building a platform. If somebody's reading about human trafficking or about domestic violence, if that's something they're interested in, they probably would like your book because it's going to hit on a topic that they're already interested in. So they probably would like to read about that in your fiction book. It can be something as simple as one of the gals that was in my class, she has lighthouses in every one of her books. I love that. And so I love lighthouses too. I'm like, I love that. So she would then, she would go and profile different towns that have the lighthouses, talk about the history. And so there are markets for things like this. Like lots of women's magazines would do that. So you got to, it's a little harder when it's a fiction thing, but you just got to look for those trends or those themes or those issues in your book that you can somehow relate to what's going on in the world right now, and just get this out and start figuring out where you could sell that. Hey, I could do something with that. If there's a characters in your book, like a mom and daughter that don't get along, well, and it's a teen girl and she's going through things, look for magazines that address that, like parenting magazines, parents of teens, Christian teens, like what's that one that Home Life does? I wrote for them. Parenting with Teens, is that what it's called? I wrote for them, I can't think of the name of it. Bob Bunn is the editor. Anyway, but it's for parents of teens. And so when I had teens, I wrote for them. But that could maybe be something you could write about like, okay, so your main characters, the two have issues with each other. Let's talk about that in real life. What does that look like? You can interview people like Kevin Lehman and ask him, how do I talk to my teen without giving away my PowerPoint or my power stance? Like, how do I do that? You can always spin something fiction into nonfiction and then point back to your fiction.
Wow. Many people have said, and I agree with them, I think our minds are exploded. This has been great. We're right at time, but I'd like to invite everybody back in, and let's maybe just go a few minutes over today and see if anybody had questions.
I have a quick question while everybody's coming back in. At one time, a long time ago, it was always like you had to read the sample magazine, so you'd have to send off for them and all that kind of thing. So today, like especially with trade journals where you're not going to see that magazine in a bookstore or be able to flip through it, how do you familiarize yourself with the magazine without spending a lot of money getting sample copies? And
they almost always have back issues online these days for you to take a look at. Or if they don't, and I have pitch lettered them, I sent that to them. I will ask them, hey, when I get this first assignment, can you send me a link to some back issues I can read, or send me a couple copies? So like Cool and Spa sent me like 4 sample copies. I was already taking the magazine, but I went ahead and I was like, oh yeah, thanks. But that's great. You can ask for that once you get an assignment, or most of them have back issues online. Also, I also found that Barnes & Noble, they actually carry a lot of the trade journals.
Do they?
So,
okay.
They have the extensive magazine section. I don't know if any of the other bookstores do, but Barnes & Noble actually carries a big section, so you could just go and kind of browse and not have to buy.
Okay. Yeah.
And if anybody else having trouble coming back on, just let us know in the chat. I got Elaine out of prison. Every once in a while, if we take you off, we've got to allow you back in. So if you have trouble, I'll watch the chat for that. Anybody else have we're running late, but I have a couple questions you want to ask. Speak up.
We're all overwhelmed.
I've scared them all off. Yeah.
Michelle, this is Rhonda. This is Rhonda Dragomir. I am not coming on live on video today because I couldn't shower. My furnace went out. But I wanted to ask you how. Oh, and my husband just walked in the room, and now I forgot my question. Never mind.
You remember it, come back, yeah.
You can come back, Rhonda, if you
That's so cute, Rhonda.
She's adorable. I was going to say one thing I didn't mention in the main session is you have to kind of think outside the box. There are lots of things that need to be written. And so things like, have you ever listened to a podcast and then it'll say, if you want the show notes, go here. Somebody has to write those show notes. You can actually connect with the person who's doing that. And I saw that as one of the things that Upwork that people were looking for, were people to do that. Hi. So look, this is the greatest thing ever, I thought, and I'm going to do it. Well, not till July, but I'm going to do this. So what's going to happen is, let's say that you really want to learn about, I don't know, whatever industry, not just writing, but maybe about how to run your own business. So if somebody's got a business podcast and they're looking for somebody to come up and do, like, actually pretty much just get the highlights from the podcast, and you're going to be getting paid to listen to all these things you want to listen to anyway. It's like going to business school and getting paid for it. So you can actually make money doing that, and you're going to benefit from it too. I'm going to make my own folder of all the stuff I want to learn, but you're getting paid to do it. And that's just consistent, kind of it's not like real creative. It's just easy, kind of, I call that You're going to get paid for it. You're going to learn something. And if you choose something that's going to help sell your books, then it's like a win-win-win. So that's another way to just kind of earn some money. I would never have thought about typing up podcast notes, but why not?
I remember my question now. Michelle, don't you teach a course at Serious Writer on freelancing? Am I right about that?
I sure do. I think I've got one called 10 Tips to Double Your Freelance Income. And the joke on that is a lot of people say, well, I have 0 income, so 0 times 0 is 0. So my response to that is, well, that is not what I intended, but I definitely can help you build that. So yes, I do have a class on there, and some of the things I've covered today are on there. So I talked about them a little more in depth because I talk and talk and talk on that video. It's kind of crazy.
Bethany, did you have your hand up?
Yes. So one way that you can earn money as a writer is just by talking about it. And when Periscope came out with Twitter, which people still do Periscope, but Facebook Live, but if you start jumping in on some of these community like video things or groups and let people know, I made some good money for a year from a guy who had videotaped himself doing all of these courses, but he wasn't a writer, but he knew I was. And so you get into like that entrepreneur people where they're like, okay, I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. He sent me all his videos exactly like she said. All I had to do, he had his own illustrator designer. So I just had to type it into an outline where students could take notes as they watched his video. So I got to listen to all of them for free. Plus he paid me, and then someone else designed it. It was genius. So like, that's another reason like to use LinkedIn or even like some of these groups on Facebook that are entrepreneurial minded and let people know that you're the writer. I wouldn't go into writers groups because then the competition's 100%. But some of the other ones, look for businessy type of groups and you be the writer that can do that kind of stuff. That's good money.
And you made really good money on that, didn't you? I mean, it was like phenomenal. That was kind of crazy money.
Oh, never. I told you, I'm like, I think I'm going to charge this, and you fell out of your chair. Then you have like a set guideline about, okay, like I've already done projects for this amount, and then you leverage that for other things. Michelle had to teach me that. I was like, oh, I'm only going to charge this.
You're worth more than that.
I will come to Florida and you have to give me that.
I know I had to like tell her that she had to do that. But here's the one thing I didn't mention this enough. These are just some think outside the box ways to make money. So how many of you have ever had to do like a kind of a press kit for your book release for one of your books? So you had to write like the back line, the back copy, you had to write like all the promo copy and like the different keywords and maybe what would be in the catalog, what would be just the teaser. Like there's about 12 or 15 different things you have to do when you're putting together a promo package for your book. So there are all the big publishers who their authors don't do this for themselves. They hire people like us to write that stuff. And I didn't know that because I'd always done my own for the smaller publishers just because I'm kind of a control freak and they let me do it. But I'm pretty good at that. I mean, I love to kind of capture things, and really the essence of the book. I used to do that when I worked for Kenneth Copeland Ministries. They get a new series out and I'd be the one to do all the backliner copy and the promo copy and the teasers. I did all that back then. So I've kind of always just loved that. I'm good with the Zoom, like the quick in and outs and tell you what it's about, bullet points and stuff. You can make so much money doing that. And so you're like, well, how do you get that? I connected with people at writers conferences. I happened to meet a couple of editors at writers conferences who knew, Shana Marchese was one of them, who knew what I did. And then when she said, we need people to put together these kits, are you interested? I'm like, yes. So when Allison was going to fashion school out in Los Angeles, plane tickets out there were like crazy, but I wanted to go see her a lot. So I would that money, I just would dog ear towards that. But I started getting so many of those that it got to be where I almost couldn't take them all on. And it was really cool too, because then when the books came out, like in the airport, so I'd be like, I wrote that. I mean, not the book, but the backliner. I wrote that backliner. I would be like, all excited. But I mean, I would know about all the books coming out too, because they were all for new releases. So that's just you have to let people know what you do. You have to let people know that this is something you like to write, you're good at, and that you're available. It's important to let agents know, all the agents, even if it's not your agent, let agents know at conferences that you're willing to take on clients to collaborate with. Whether you've ever ghostwritten or not, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. So a lot of times these agents will get these celebrity clients or even like a minister of a bigger church or like a mega church. They can't write their name. That's not their thing, but they have this great message. And so immediately this agent's going to take them because they're going to sell books just on their name alone, but they need somebody to help them make that actually sing and people will read it. So if they've got this kind of pool of writers, they're gonna choose from them. And it's not always, I mean, before I was with Kyle Young, I was with a different agent, and I had an agent from a different agency contact me, and I was like, well, this is different. It usually just be at the same agency, but no, I had that happen 3 times because I knew I ghostwrite for different people. So let people know on your website, on LinkedIn, and just when you're out talking about what you do at conferences, that you're open to collaborating and to brainstorming and just all the things that you could think about that you would pay money for, other people will pay money for. You could be that person to make money doing that. Because you know there are some things you're going to be better at than others. The things you're really good at, it will bring you joy to do. So those are the things I love to just say yes to.
I have a question. What when it comes to like at the Upworthy site, it said, you know, what kind of writing are you interested in doing? And then there's, you know, there's creative writing, there's copywriting, there's web content. What I think one place where when we see something like that, and of course there's the other writing. What's the copywriting and what's the copywriting? What would be some of these things that you talked about today? What would those keywords be? I know that the ghostwriting.
I would say content writing would be one, like website content writing, which is a lot of us can do that. I think ghostwriting could be not just for books, but a lot of people don't realize a lot of people's blogs are ghostwritten, especially the big people. You're basically just taking chapters from their books or things that they've spoken about and making blogs out of them. I've done that lots. And that pays really well. So you could put, you know, ghost blogging, you could ghost for blogging, ghostwrite for articles, ghostwrite for their website, and ghostwrite books. You could also do, what else I put on mine, trying to think. Children's writing. Yeah. So children, you could say, I specialize in nonfiction ghostwriting for children. So in other words, like one of the people, they've been on QVC, that he was a big deal. He had a book out for adults, and it's like an inspirational book, but he needed a children's book done, and he tried it, they bought it, and then the publisher realized it was bad, or not bad, well, not good, not great. So they needed some help. So they hired me then to come in and like make it nice, like fix it. Same his message. So, but that was a nonfiction children's book. And then I ghostwrote like 5 for another person. So that's something a lot of people don't think about. I just wrote a blog on that today that's going to run for my nonfiction ninja group. It's going to be on our website. But that's one thing that you would do that maybe other people wouldn't do. Like that kind of sets you apart. So if I'm on there and I've got a client, or say I'm an agent, and I've got a client who's got this great book, but they now get to do a children's book, and they really need somebody to come in and ghostwrite for that. I might go to Upwork and see who specializes in ghostwriting, also not just for adults, but for children too. You know, not everybody can ghostwrite and write for the children's market, but you know, like maybe you could. So, right? So so try to put things down there that will make you stand out a little bit more. I mean, it's great to be the jack of all trades, which I've kind of built my career doing. The thing is, on Upwork, you kind of want to do that, but you also want to say on there, these are things I really special. These are things I really do. These are the things I can do.
Yes. Thank you.
We've got a couple more questions, but I think what we'll do is save them for the after party. So there's a couple there that we do want to get to if Michelle can stay on for a little bit longer. Okay, good. Oh, I appreciate it, because I know you've got deadlines. But
yeah, I mean, after this, I'm not going to be able to sleep for 2 days, but I'm yours for another.
Thank you.
Happy to be here. It's good to get away from the computer for a minute.
So next week we're going to be doing writers' offices. So that should be fun. Jeannie's going to start us out. We asked everybody to bring some kind of writing tip to share, just ideas, writing, anything. It's going to be open mic after we do the initial little presentation. And if you want to show off your office, we're going to give you the chance to do that too. So that could be fun. So that's next week. Again, we thank everybody for being here. Michelle, we thank you so much for so much great information. Everybody stay on for the after party, and we'll cover a couple more questions. If you're watching us on the replay, we're really glad that you did. Join us every Tuesday for Writers Chat, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. So glad y'all are here, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.